Welcome to the Slide Getting Tech Simplified channel. And in today's video, I have the honor of interviewing Devanshi Joshi Sr, Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft. She's going to let us know some insights in her career journey, how she got started, how it is to work at Microsoft. So make sure you watch this video to the end. Devanshi, please let us know a little bit how you got started, your background, and what was your first job like?
Hey, Sly, thank you for having me. And hello, everyone. I am Devanshi Joshi. And well, I got started back in India. So I'm from a town called Jamshedpur in India. And I grew up there where my high school was all about maths and science mostly. My parents are doctors, but I have my aunts who are engineers. And one of my aunts was the IT head at Tata Motors. And the town of Jamshedpur has a well-established presence of the Tata Group. That's where it all started for the Tata Group. So being the IT head for Tata Motors, she would have privileges to welcome her family on campus and give them a tour. And as part of that, I had my first ever chance to see technology in action and impact. Okay, and as part of that campus tour, I was privy to shops and how they are building their cars and vehicles, whether it's commercial or for the army or for regular business transports.
Yeah.
And as part of that, there were some shops that were robotic in nature where it was automated. The machines would pretty much put the cars together within minutes. And I saw the whole system come in play. There was a computer, there was levers attaching stuff, and I was totally amazed at what the end product looked like and how quickly the labor was transformed into an end finished product. That got me thinking that, wow, I am learning so many things here in school. And I did like computer science, but seeing the application of it and where I could have an impact, that wowed me. That was my starting point in my increased interest with computer science, its applications, and its impact. From then on, there was no looking back. I pursued my career in computer science and information technology. I have a bachelor's degree from Manipal Institute of Technology, and I was so engrossed and curious about all of the applications that I could drive in my projects, in my internships, that I was at the top of my class 7 out of 8 semesters. So that speaks for itself. So there you go. That's how it all began. And in the career job fair from my campus back in my university, I was interviewing with Microsoft for a pre-sales position. So as an IT information technology undergrad student, the only job options I knew about were software development. So either in operations or in product or just building or coding or testing. That's about it. I had no idea there was this whole world where you could actually interact with customers and work with them, solution it out, architect it. And as in that job fair, when the interviewer was giving us the presentation on what are the roles open and why they are here, I was like, oh, okay, this exists. And I spoke to folks in my family and they were like, wow, this is really new. I don't know if you should go here, because honestly, we all thought it was just a sales role. The component of technology was not very clear to me. And only when I got into the interview room did I really understand what that role really meant. And I wanted to go through with something new. I liked the fact that I get to change and have the same conversation, technology conversation, but have a change in every input that I provided, every new solution that came in. So I took the leap of faith, went against the recommendations from my family members, and I got through that job and I got it in. And then I joined back in Mumbai as a cloud architect there with the Azure team in India at Microsoft. That's how it began. And then I just pretty much soared high with a couple of programs that we have internally for undergraduate hires
Yeah.
at Microsoft. That's called the Aspire program today. Back then, it used to be called MACH, MACH, Microsoft Academy of College Hires. That gives me exposure to a lot of Microsoft world globally, not just India. And I tried my best to make the most of this opportunity. As part of that, we were inducted into the whole global program. And by the time I graduated this program within Microsoft, I had not just my India market industry knowledge, along with my hard skills of technology and coding and solutioning, but also the experience to network, to promote myself as an individual of the industry and technology. So I moved on from India as a market to Australia, Southeast Asia, and eventually I am here today at San Francisco, US, doing the job called Cloud Solution Architect in the Global Partner Solutions Organization here at Microsoft. And as a matter of fact, I work very closely with Sly himself and his team, who are called Partners Technology Strategists. We are team members who go and work with Microsoft partners, specifically a lot of ISVs, to develop their solutions on Azure that go to market. And in that engagement, we would work through creating architecture design sessions, proving out concepts that we conceptualize, and then also doing go-to-market envisioning sessions for a lot of solutions. That's about me.
That's great. You got a lot of I got a lot of questions that I want to talk about. First of all, I want to give a shout out to your aunt. So, because she seemed like she kind of removed even a doubt if you could be an engineer. I think she kind of let you know you could be a great engineer, and then you follow that up by going to engineering school. And that's a different conversation than I usually have, because sometimes I find now like ladies don't even know they can do these roles, right? Even someone like myself, like growing up where I was, I didn't know anyone who was engineers that was directly next to me. So even doing it was different, right? So it was that's great to have that role model at such a young age that can shape your mind. And now you live in the dream, right? And you found some new experiences where you're using that engineering skill set that you developed from years on, hardened through math and sciences. And now you also adding not only that with the soft skills. And that's going to make you definitely a dual threat going out there. I can already see you in leadership because of that background. So that's pretty cool. I also want to ask you a question is, now that you're here, right? How was it, right? I know you talked about your family wasn't too sure if you should be here, but if someone else is listening to this right now and in a similar background, they're a software engineer, they're looking at the solution architect roles, maybe these pre-sales engineering roles, how did you decide that it was right for you? Because you kind of talked about it, but can you give a little bit more context on that?
Yes, absolutely. I was very confused. To be honest, out of 2,000 students, I was chosen as top 7 for that interview. And I was still doubting myself whether this was even the right place. Until I walked into the interview room and I understood what that role was. And here are a couple of things that really spoke to me. One, it was customer facing or client facing. Okay. And it was a new conversation every day. Second, which was really important for me, was my technical growth in my mindset, in my skills. I did not want to just become a salesperson. So I needed that assurance that this role would not hamper my growth in technology. And I remember my interviewer shared this with me at the time that, you know what, I have seen technology. I've been in this industry for over 10 years, and I've seen this cloud and back then cloud had just started. We were like 5 years into a good Azure space. So, and we talked about all things like IoT and ML, and a lot of my projects were around that. So I could see how what I was already doing aligned to some of the customer conversations that they have for solutioning and architecting. And once I could have that click happen, that's when I knew I could do this role. And finally, the thing was Microsoft's culture. And it was very important that it was at Microsoft that I was getting a solution architect role. Because Satya Nadella had just been named the succession for CEO. And the company culture was changing. It was all over the global news. And I was very excited to be part of this new journey at Microsoft. So those were my top 3 things that
That's awesome.
that spoke to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So I think that definitely would help, when someone else is going through that same motion, kind of how you kind of went through that challenge. So that was pretty cool. And that goes in very nicely into the next question. So how do you devise your career plan and how do you align it to your passion? Because he almost talked about it a little bit, but how do you do that?
Yeah. So since it all began, I always never had a point-to-point plan. It was more general because very few people in this world, in my opinion, have a dying passion. Okay. And to be able to understand how you want to grow as a person in a career, you may not have the right bullet points all the time. So I do it in 2 forms. There's a tactical part to your career plan, and then there is a strategic part. So the strategic is the long-term goal, I would say, that you have. But again, long-term in today's world is not beyond 3 to 5 years. Yeah. There is, I mean, the change, the rate at which everything is evolving and new technology is being embraced in the world is remarkable. So 3 to 5 years is a good span to have that long-term perspective. So when I talk about strategic planning, what that really means is that, okay, so for example, if you want to get into product technology, you want to be, let's say, a product manager or a product owner, that can be your strategic goal. Now, tactical is how do you work towards it? So what are those checkpoints of success that will lead you on to your strategic goal? That could be if the role or the goal of your career is to be a product owner, then things like, first of all, ramping on your hard skills is a hard tactical skill you need to really work on. And second is you want to have credibility around your experience. So let's say you are having that goal for the next 3 years. In that 3-year span that you have today, have good examples of experience that you can call out. And experience doesn't only have to be on the job. It can even be certifications. It can be a course you took at a university just to ramp up your skills. Because as part of these courses and certifications, you also put them into use. They are not just questions and answers. They are very practical case studies that you work on. So even that counts. And if possible, go on, take on stretch projects if within your organization, or if you want to go do some freelance work, go just engage with new companies, startups, and just offer the services and also learn at the same time. That would be very key to define your experience exposure. So when you talk in an or project yourself, your resume there is way more credibility with your experiences for the questions that are put forth to you. And again, every interview question you go, your career plan really comes into play, because the way you project yourself will reflect how, in those interviews, will reflect how you have grown. So if you have a career plan with a strategic goal in mind, going through those tactical layers of checkpoints, it's a good story. That will be an overall well-rounded goal that you have. It not just shows your skills or hard skills and soft skills. It also shows your management, your planning, your strategic thinking. And that is something which is really valuable for whatever role, opportunity or career you're trying to break in.
Yeah, that was great. That was fantastic, man. I know you're an engineer. The way you just broke that problem down, that you said you got your strategic goals and you got your tactical goals. And that was well said because I think for myself, I do something similar. I wasn't as definitive and then kind of broke it down that detail. I'm gonna start using some of that. But yeah, I always have, where do I want to be, right? What skills do I want to be using? Who do I want to be around when I'm doing this? And then what do I need to do to get there, right? If that is being a better oral communicator, well, that's why I started my YouTube channel. It gave me a chance to speak. And then you get judged from the world, right? And then
Yeah,
if people aren't that nice,
absolutely.
right? So you gotta kind of step up your game there. If you want to be more technical, right? How do I get my certifications? How do I look at problems? What's my problem solving skills? Because I'm realizing engineers have really good problem solving skills because some of the classes they took in the course where I was a business major, we have those, but it's a different way to look at the problem,
Hmm.
right? So sometimes you got to relearn. So I think that's very imperative. So right now, if you're stuck in a job that you're not sure if you should be in there, go back, think about what was your long-term goal, right? And is this the right job for you to keep going forward? Because it's okay to say, you know what? This, I thought this was a good fit. It might not be a good fit because I want to be in management, and this role is going to take me down to become a principal engineer and not into that people management track. So I need to make a pivot now, right? And that's okay. I think that shows a lot of insight. That shows a lot of direction, like you said before. So yeah, definitely, that was some great advice. So if y'all listening, y'all better have your notebooks out, your OneNote out, or something, taking these notes because you dropping some real gems. So what advice would you have given yourself early in your career?
Um, okay. So back in the day, I was not this confident and outspoken like you see me right now. It has taken me a couple of iterations to work on my own self to get here. And if I could go back in time and tell that young Devanshi that, hey, it's okay, you don't like this subject, or you're not scoring well, or you're not getting this content, this technology, that's okay. Maybe text is not the way you consume stuff. So go watch some videos. And if you're not performing well, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
It's it's all right. You're still a good student. You're still a good technologist. It's just that you don't get this. That's
yeah,
totally fine. So, second guessing myself, being underconfident was something that I had to personally work on. And second thing was to put myself out there for people to talk to me and me to talk to people.
yeah,
Networking, as they say, is something very important that everybody, each of us should do. But it's
yeah,
not an easy skill to have. I mean, it takes practice. You know how people just go to a bar and talk to someone,
yeah.
that itself is very hard. And
It
I mean,
is.
I still can't do it, but I
Same
can
here.
definitely, I can
Same here.
definitely do it here at
Yeah,
work during
yeah,
conferences, meetings. Today, I can totally do that.
yeah,
And things I learned was to be able to do this was, I mean, let go of the sense that you're being judged
yeah.
and be more comfortable with in your own skin in every way. And if
That's
you're
great.
being laughed at, mocked on, joked about, I mean, don't care at all. They are not living your life. You are living your own life. They do not know the struggles you have to go through every day to show up in that well formed Devanshi. Nobody knows that. So,
Yeah,
uh, well, it doesn't matter. They don't matter. If they don't get you, it's not worth it. Move on. I mean,
that was
where,
powerful. Yeah.
yeah. So,
That was great. I think that what you just said just now, that being comfortable in your own skin, even when people are trying to find fault in you, is essential, right? Because I know time and time again, I used to walk into rooms and when I was, starting off as an engineer, and they wouldn't think I was an engineer, right? They would go up to someone else, like, hey, it's Sly, the engineer. He's the sales guy. He's too friendly to be the engineer. I'm like, well, now I am the engineer. Then I start doubting myself, getting all nervous now, right? And then you perform and it's fine. And so I think that's great. And I think that confident piece is really big for me also starting off, right? I was very nervous going out. I didn't really know how good I was. And now I found ways to manage that fear, right? That fear of, the imposter syndrome. Am I supposed to be here? Well, Defonsi has, multiple engineering degrees. I got a business degree in IT. It doesn't matter. Why am I comparing myself? We're here. We're doing two different journeys, right? Those are some things that it took me a while to be comfortable to be able to have that. Another thing is for me was starting out, I would have told myself to plan more. I'm not a planner. I'm really good at just going how the day presents me, and I'm smart enough to figure things out. That's not good, right? When I graduated college, I had a 2.99 average, but my IT class, I had a 3.7, right? 3.7 out of 4.0. But I didn't plan it. I didn't know how to be a good studier. I didn't realize that I could learn to be a better studier,
Yeah.
more focused studier. And it just took some time. I had to ask myself some questions. Well, what does it take to be a 4.0? I never asked myself those questions when I was really young, So that's something I do now. Like when I'm preparing for certifications, I create study guides, I create plans, I talk to friends, I ask people who are good students, like, well, how are you good? Like, then I realized, like, oh, well, Sly, I prepared, like, I got study notes, I got flashcards, I got a study group. I also took like 10 practice tests, practice, so it's a process. It's not
Yes.
something they show up and do. And it took me so long to figure that out, because I'm like, man, I'm just not good at tests. And then I realized I wasn't good at preparing for the test. And then once I
That's
figured that
so
out,
true.
it changed the way I look at things. I'm no longer afraid at learning something like data and AI. I have no background in that, right? But I'm taking this training. I'm learning the basics. I'm talking to people like yourself and other engineers at Microsoft who do this in they sleep, right? And they say, hey, Sly, start here. You don't need to go take a look at deep learning. You might not be there yet, right? Start off with what is deep learning, how to get
Yep.
there, what's the benefit, right? And then start building on. I may not have the math there, but then I know what math I need to get there. So I start taking Coursera classes on that math class and start practicing it. So that's one thing I would have told myself earlier on. So
Yep. And people say invest here, invest there. I think the best investment is in yourself, because
yep,
that is the best growth you will see in your life. And you touched on a very important point there, Sly, that planning and I mean, people make it look very easy. You see the CEOs in the world or great speakers of the world come on that stage and talk to you, and the TEDx speakers having that impact in their voice. There is a lot of practice going on there, and it can be overwhelming when you are beginning it, but have faith, believe in yourself, and it will come along. You will see that change happen.
yep, that was great. And then the last thing I would just say, networking. They say network is your net worth. That's been the
Mm.
best investment I ever did in my life is start to really get to know people, and network with a purpose and make it. How do you make it useful for both of us? Like, why should I reach out to Devanshi? How can I help her? Can I add commentary to her LinkedIn post? Can I help her? Like I know in our jobs, right? I can find opportunities, bring her in. I can show her some more of the processes on our end and how we look at things, right? We can find some synergies there, right? Just really spending that time to get to know people in your organization, especially as one as big as Microsoft, and then outside your organization. Don't get stuck.
Yes.
Meet other people. So I found that has been that's kind of not only investing in myself but investing into others has made myself, I guess, even better without even thinking that or having that as an outcome. So
Yep.
that was definitely a good conversation. That leads into us to our next question. As a woman in technology working on high tech projects every day, how do you impact the technology disruption?
So I kind of talked a little bit about what I do in my everyday job, but here's a little more context. I specialize in app dev and everything around app dev on Azure. So a lot of services I'm just going to call out, and they're going to look like some random lingo, but believe me, they are good stuff that I'm talking about. So like app services, Azure functions, everything to do with serverless app development on Azure, integrating these solutions with third party or within Azure services. That's all I do from end to end. That's my deep technical expertise here, aside from being an end to end architect. So when we engage with our partners, we build new solutions every day. These solutions have an end impact with customers, and as we build these solutions, we also improvise on our product roadmaps and have actually a very global impact. So as part of that, one of my recent engagements were around a serverless architecture. And I'm not going to name the partner at this time, but it's a very big storage partner that was building an end-to-end serverless platform. And as part of that, we didn't just work on their solution, we also worked on our product. So a couple of new feature releases that came on in the coming months were totally driven by actual customer demand and direction. So this change was not just for one partner or one time, one solution effect. It was a global effect. This kind of solved problems for Azure customers in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, and in US. It was everywhere. And I am personally very proud of our product team and the engineering, our sales teams for having done that in collaboration as a one Microsoft effort. And this is just one example. Every day, although I'm doing the same tech stack, but the conversations are very different. And when we go to build solutions, there are multiple iterations a lot of times. They could be migrations from a third party, from another cloud or on-prem to Azure. They could be building or modernizing an existing solution on Azure to something on serverless, something on Kubernetes, for example. Or it could be just that they're expanding the solution with infused AI apps or bot framework. So a lot is growing on our customer base and their solutions. I mean, 2020 has been the disruption year in a lot of ways for technology, not just in conversing with each other virtually, but how solutions are offered, what kind of solutions exist in the world out there, especially in the healthcare industry. The support that I've seen for new solutions being developed has been phenomenal. And the rate at which technology met the direction where the economy, the industry was going, I am very proud of how we are able to fulfill that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. You definitely make an impact because I can even tell just working with you and the other cloud solution architects, you guys make us partner technology strategists, so much better, right? Because my job is to kind of architect, find out exactly what can the partner do, how can they do it, how long is it going to take to deploy it, and then where I help you guys at is, all right, now let's go a little bit deeper on that. Do they need to understand it? Do they need to understand the market opportunity? Do they need to understand how, if they implement this, how have other partners seen the benefit from it? And the way that you're able to go a couple of layers deeper helps a lot. So thank you for all you do. And definitely I can say, as being someone who leverages you guys and gals, that it's definitely helpful, right? Because it makes us where I'm more focused on a breadth of technologies, you get to dive a little bit deeper and we get to benefit, myself and the partner gets to benefit from your skill set. So thank you for that. So
yes, absolutely. And partner technology strategists like yourself, Lai, we work very closely.
Yeah.
It is thanks to them that we are able to go that deep, work specifically on developing that solutions and getting it to market, while they work on the holistic picture of the breadth, getting everything together for the solution to get to market.
Yep. And it's a partnership, right? We both hold our part. And that's a great thing about being empowered, right? And being a part of a team. We're a team, right? So we get it started. Y'all finish it. We tie it up, right? We need each other to grow. So thank you for all of that. And one thing I think everyone want to know, you've been at Microsoft for 5 years now. Yeah. What makes you choose Microsoft every day?
Oh, wow. It's very easy. I love the Microsoft culture every day. So every day I wake up, I'm very excited to jump on meetings, get on my regular day job, because as part of that, I do so much more. So at Microsoft here, you get to do whatever you think you are. So your authentic self, you bring it to work every day. And besides my day job as an architect, I like a lot of other things. For example, Slide's channel here for Women in Tech. We have an internal Women at Microsoft group, and our org itself has a Women in Microsoft group itself. And Sly is one of our ambassadors, along with a good board of supporters that we got here at our GPS US org.
Yeah.
As part of that, we do a lot of events. We do partner interactions to help inculcate this culture of diversity and inclusion with a partner network, along with a couple of bonding sessions that we have. So I really enjoy it. I enjoy this forum where I can have a little more impact, bring a little more color and life to my everyday, mundane, otherwise just work-oriented life. So I really like it.
Yeah, and I can say I only been here for 8 months, and it's been transformative, right? And when I say that, the stuff that we work on is pretty cool, right? I feel like the team, you get empowered to do your best work, right? And if you got ideas, they encourage your ideas to get those to market, right? If you got something cool, they want you to work on it, to give you the tools to do it. Like you said, it's so much extracurricular activities. Like I'm a part of the Women in Tech. I'm a part of Blacks at Microsoft. I do like I know we do a lot of giving right into the
Yes.
community. Like we do so much community work where not only do we feel like we're empowered, but we're empowering other people, right? So I think that's also some of the things that's cool. And also for me, I love to read, I love to learn, and they give you so many resources to read and learn. Like you just don't have enough time to do it, right? So it's pretty cool, man. Like it's been 8 months, and I'm excited to continue my journey here. And then I think the one thing we both didn't talk about is the people, man. The people
Yeah, the
I
growth
found,
mindset with which
yeah,
people come in here. Yeah.
it's great. And then I found that, like yourself, if I don't know something, I'm not afraid to ask you. As long as I did my due diligence, right? I didn't, it's not something you could Google and it's the first one. I know you'll help, right? It's no
Yep.
question. It's like, hey, Sly, here's some resources that you can empower. If you need me to jump on a call, I'm busy, but I got time at this time and I'll jump on a call and talk to your partner. Things like that. It makes it easy to do your best work because you don't have to do it all yourself. And that's one of the things that I found that was pretty cool. This being here for 8 months, right? So I
People
definitely,
are really approachable. And not just, I'm not even talking about people like individual contributors only. If
yep,
you want to reach
sure,
out, you can hit up your manager, his manager, anybody within Microsoft, a leader you feel speaks to you and you want to get mentored, you can totally reach out and expect a response and get it. I
yeah, and
mean,
that's cool, and I agree.
so
Like I was 3 months at Microsoft. I reached out to one of the VPs, and they gave me a 15-minute meeting, and I was surprised. I'm like, all right, I didn't know this was going to actually happen. So you're right. I can definitely echo that too. So that's great. And for our last question, how can the audience contact you and stay in connection with you?
well, I believe in the power of LinkedIn a lot. So that is the best place to get me. My handle is Devanshi Joshi. Thankfully, I was early enough to LinkedIn to get that handle. So,
Yeah.
or just hit me up, search me up, that you will find me there.
Yep.
Before we leave, I have a couple of thoughts to leave you guys with, and I think it's very important. Uh, I know everyone's busy in their everyday life. You're working on yourself, you're working on your career, there's so much going on, but learn to believe in yourself because there are these 5 stars of wisdom that I personally follow and I live by every day. It's almost ingrained in my muscle memory, so it doesn't even take me an extra cell to think about it. But what really helps you grow in your career is when you are intentionally bold. Okay, that's my first one. You have to be intentionally bold to make that change happen for you, to be there for your goals and ambitions. Okay, so be intentionally bold. The second one is advocate your impact. I mean, yes, everybody is there to support you, hopefully in a good culture, in a good environment, but it is you who can be your best advocate. Your story is only yours to tell at the beginning. Only then can people follow on with it. So you have to define it for yourself, advocate your strengths, your accomplishments. If it helps, make a note of it and share it across. And I've seen a lot of people do it, women, men, both. So go ahead, shamelessly, I would say, be your advocate for your impact. Third, build your sponsorship.
Yeah.
When you leave the room, you should have people sponsor you. And when I say sponsor, I don't mean talk to your skills only. Here, I mean you as an individual for your impact. while you are advocating your own impact, when you read the room, you have to have sponsors who can vouch for your credibility, your experience, your uh, personal empathy, and how you work through it. So that's very important. Fourth is nurture those mentor-mentee relationships. They are very important. So networking for your sponsorship is great, but building these mentor-mentee relationships is super important. And once you feel that you're in a good space, as you have grown as an individual in your career and you have something to offer back to the community, be sure to do that. Because knowledge is that power who no one can take from you. Yeah. So it will only grow the more you impart. The more you share, knowledge only grows. So if you want to be better at something, excel at something, you have to learn to give back. So have mentor-mentee relationships. If you are a mentor yourself, go ahead and offer your services for people to learn from you and grow with you. Yeah. And finally, build and act upon your career plan. Don't shelve it. Don't have it sitting in a doc or a notebook forever and just look at it every 6 months or so. Go reflect, take action, build those tactical points that you think. And again, these are not set in stone, so they will change. Keep evolving. Change your tactical checkpoints to build on that strategic goal that you have for your career. And it's okay to make a complete U-turn from wherever you are trying to go right now. So just make sure you act upon it and not just shelve it. That is something very important. And all the best to everyone. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am very responsive there. And worst of all, just hit Sly up. He will let you know where to find me.
Yep, and I'll make sure to put all your contact information, well, not all of it, well, your LinkedIn profile in the bottom of the description on YouTube, and also if you listen to this on a podcast, it'll be in the show notes as well. So until next time, Sly Gittins and Devanshi are out. Peace.